You should know you are not required to unlock your phone for law enforcement. Now the news is broke that United States Attorney General Pam Bondi actually unlawfully, unconstitutionally told her agents to disregard the Fourth Amendment and all the due process rights afforded to anyone who is in the United States, whether you are here on lawful status, unlawful status. You have to abide by the process. You have to give everyone entitled due process. This is something that's been upheld by this Supreme Court, other Supreme Courts, jurisprudence. You cannot go in someone's home, as she instructed people to do, without a warrant, and instructing people to break in. We've seen the social media memes of ICE agents doing this, and now we know where it came from. And as I've said in the first week of this administration, that it's going to be the leakiest administration, because they're going to have people doing things that's against their conscience, against the law, and people are going to leak it. Thank you. USA Today leaked this here. So now that we know that the goons are gooning, let me help you out here. So I created some cards and about 14 pieces of guides to help you, including like little smart cards you can print out and cut up into little pieces and take with you if you go and protest, or if you see someone or your neighbor, let them know and see it. A couple of them are written in Spanish as well, in English. So I have the cards, Know Your Rights cards for immigration, if you're ever incorporated by ICE here, and I have one for travel. But I'm going to go through with you. Let's walk through these other guides I created for you, because I'm seeing that there's a lot of misinformation, half information, uncertainty. And since I have 2 law degrees, was practicing lawyer for a while, and I'm here on social media helping you guys decode these cases, I might as well take a pause and brief to do this for you. So you don't have to worry about screenshotting this. You can take notes, but when the other end of this, I'm gonna give you a link to download to get all of these, including those 2 cards. So let's get started. Okay, let's start here. This is if you're approached by ICE. If you're approached by ICE, the first thing you must do is remain calm. I know a lot of times the trained officers are supposed to de-escalate, but as we know from history that sometimes they do not de-escalate. So your job is to be calm. Do not run. I tell my children these things. If you see a fight break out, do not run, because they're going to suspect you of doing something, and you and your black skin are going to look like they're up to something. So irrespective, don't run, be calm. Now what you need to do if you're detained, ask, am I free to go? Because if they say no, that means you're being detained. I'm going to talk to you about what to do when you're detained. But if they say yes, you can leave. What you need to do is stay calm. You have the right to remain silent under Fifth Amendment. There's a case law that you probably heard of called Miranda, which says everyone has the constitutional right. Just be clear. And here's the thing: if you have your phone, make sure it's locked, not unlocked. But if you have the ability to record, because I know some phones, like mine, for example, if I hard press on a certain button, it automatically records, even though the phone is locked. So you can record, because you need some memorialization of this event. Now, if they're on the other side of a door, whether a car door or whether a house door, and they're asking you questions, you have to make sure if they have a warrant for you to come in access. In order for them to get into your house, they need an actual warrant, and that needs to be signed by a judge, and it has to have your name and address. If they give you a warrant that doesn't have your name or your address or any misspellings on it, they got to go take it back, and it has to have information. Now, if they don't have that, the correct name and address, they can't come in. They can't do it for you. Now, you can ask them for their identification. You can write down their name, their badge number, and which is going to be important. Take pictures if it's safe to do so, right? I'm going to talk in another portion of this video, your rights regarding filming police officers. But for now, if you have the ability to do it safely from a safe distance, do so, but do not interject, do not physically get involved, do not interrupt their investigation of what they're doing. You can do it from the far. Keep important documents and contacts with you. So you need to alert your emergency contact or your immigration attorney if ICE shows up. This is where I'm going to talk about later on. It's a good idea if you have an attorney, if you can afford one, get one on retainer. Right in this era, no matter how much you were saving for a car, you're saving for a house, that's moot if you're not here. That's moot if you're in jail. That's moot if you're in CCOT. So this applies to everyone. It no longer just applies to illegal, undocumented people, people who are on student visas, temporary visas, permanent visas, naturalized citizens like myself, United States citizens. We heard Donald Trump on the hot mic tell Bukele, the prime minister or president of El Salvador, to build more prisons for the homegrowns. That's you. That's me. So everyone needs to be aware of this and get yourself set and get an immigration lawyer if you can afford one on the phone on retainer. Retainer means you pay them a certain amount of money, let's say $5,000, $10,000. They keep it in case you need them. They can use that 5-10K deposit to draw down from when they have to call you or make a phone call or draft up some documents really quick. And I'm going to talk about this later on in a future video, that a lot of the undocumented people who were able to escape being sent to CCOT, one of the reasons they escaped was because they had a lawyer who they called to intervene, who quickly filed some habeas corpus documents on the record and got them released. Like, there's an example of this. Adrian Gil-Roas, for example, was pulled off of the bus on his way to the airport to CCOT because he had an attorney, or his family member had an attorney who was able to get a quick appeal from it. And it's something else happened that was really good that kept him from that. So it's good to have immigration lawyer on hand. Don't share too much information. Avoid answering questions, especially about your status of your origin, country of origin. There's a know your rights card. Give it to your landlords. Give it to people, employers, so they know in case ICE come looking for you. So that's the first card. Now let's talk about if you're actually detained. I said if you ask, am I free to go? And they say no, that means you're being detained. The difference between is being approached and detained. Now they have legal status. They have the ability to stop you from leaving, and the law gives them the right to do that. So let's talk about that next. The minute you find out you're detained, you tell them, I want to speak to a lawyer. Now here's the thing, you may not have a lawyer, doesn't matter. You can still assert your right to speak with an attorney because you have the right to remain silent against, according to Miranda, at the Fifth Amendment. Miranda is a case law that memorialized the Fifth Amendment, the due process rights to not self-incriminate, Fourth Amendment due process rights. Here you're going to say, I need to speak to my lawyer. Now, if you don't have a lawyer, fortunately, ACLU and there's other organizations like RAICES, National Immigration Law Center, that have defense coalitions, have hotlines with rapid response with people who are ready, lawyers, if you're detained, to come down to your rescue. So that's a great thing. We're living in this era. We have resources. You don't have to sign any documents. Now, as I'm going to talk later on in a future video about the folks who that sent to CCOT and the people they tried to send to CCOT a couple of weeks ago, they gave them documents. The documents essentially is asking them to waive their rights. So don't ever sign anything, especially if you don't understand it. They can't force you. They can put it in front of your face. They can tell you whether you sign this or not. I'm going to send you off. That's not true. And if you get sent off, hopefully not, we'll deal with that. But they can't. You get the name and badge number of the officer. You don't discuss your immigration status with anyone. And here's the thing, it was a joke, or we've seen it in social media where people from MAGAs share an ICE number and kind of encouraging other people to call ICE on folks. So this is where you need to know who you share your information with, who you share your status with. You can't share with everybody. And you just have to have copies of your documents, not just actual paper copies, written copies, digital copies. I like to use Google cloud or any cloud service, for example, and give someone access to the clouds, so in case something happens, someone else other than you have access to your documents and they can pull it down if need be, if you need to bring it or present it or give it to a lawyer or anything like that. You should have a plan. Memorize phone numbers, because you may be in a situation when you don't have your phone and you need to call emergency contact, or you need to call a lawyer. Maybe you're in jail and they say you get one phone call. The next one is a red state survival guide, because if you live in a conservative Republican state, the legislatures, including the local to state legislatures, are not necessarily friendly to certain communities, the immigrant, migrant community, the trans communities, diverse communities, because the culture wars. So what you need to do if you're living in one of those states is that you need to be aware that some of the laws may target you, and do your research. Google, I love ChatGPT. You can ask them, like, what are the laws in my state that might affect me if I'm this? Easy. I love that tool, and it's free. You can pay for a tier. I pay for the tier. You can find out what the laws are, and so which you can know. Awareness is better. Don't get it from third party. You can just get the law, and then if you don't understand it, you can ask ChatGPT, explain this to me simply. It's simple like that. Then what you want to do, similarly, keep all documents in a safe place, both digital and physical. And the reason why both ways is because, one, if an emergency situation, someone can't get to your house, get to your safe, or anything, God forbid, happens to your house, is burglarized or there's a fire, you lost those things. So you want to always back up stuff digitally and give someone else access. Google Docs is free, and it's cloud. You can get cloud service and just give someone else access so they can be able to use it in case of an emergency, in case you're detained, or in case you're in prison or removed or whatever like that. Someone can go pull your documents you need immediately, your immigration records, any custody documents, medication list, anything that you need that's important for you or your family members, for someone you trust. Then you want to limit what you share with people online. I know it's easy. We're living in a day and era where everyone shares what they eat, what time they wake up, where they go, their status, and that's normally fine, but in this regime that we're in, that's actually dangerous. And I've shared, and I'm going to share in future videos, the fact that the Trump administration decided who to arrest based on social media posts. Like, there's so many examples of that. So if you already had stuff out there, if I were you and you're concerned about your status, I would go back and close off the things, scrub your friends list, make everything private as possible, and then be mindful of chat. When I talk about the cell phone and the digital rights in the future portion, like another part of this video, you're going to see that at some point the ICE agents or border agents can actually look at your text messages. So you want to be careful who you text. You can use apps like Signal, which is really controversial because essentially it's secure. WhatsApp has some security to it where it essentially is encrypted, so it's really hard in case your phone is seized for someone to crack in and get access to your text messages, because what you text can actually, even if it's innocent, normally you might have the First Amendment rights to these things, but they're using it against people that we've seen already. So you don't want to tell everybody your business. And then everyone you told your business to, be mindful, because like I mentioned in the previous part of this video, some MAGA folks were sharing with people the ICE number as a joke, telling people reporting and tipping off people. And there have been instances in the past up to now when some folks had ICE called on them by their friends. I had a friend for law school who had this guy she was dating, was foreigner, and she got mad at him and she called immigration on him. So it could be it'd be the ones you know, it'd be your family and friends. So be mindful of that and keep a mental note of who knows you, who you're strained with, who you've already shared that with, can they hurt you, stuff like that. Then you want to build a small trusted circle of people you can check in with once in a while. You know, just people you just know. You can make a go bag. It's so funny, like I did this for my son during the COVID. I created for one of my blogs a go bag with essentials, everything you would need, including cash, phone chargers, ID, you know, anything you would need to be accessible in case for some reason you have to leave or something like that, or you're being detained, or you're in a situation where you can't be at home or you can't go home, whatever it is. So you want to have a go bag where you can leave quickly and then still have rights. So irrespective of everything I've said, everything that they're doing in terms of like looking at your phones, punishing you for your speech, violating your rights, even if you have status to be here, if you ever know you still have constitutional rights. So just know that's a fact. So, and don't feel powerless. So let's go through so that is my red state survival guide for protecting yourself under hostile state laws. Now let's go to some other cards that I made for you. Look at this. Okay, now know your rights under the Trump era policies. Now this is just a generic. Do you have the rights to freedom of speech, religion, protection from unlawful search? These are core principles that remain protected under the Constitution regardless who's in office, right? And so there's no policy that can strip away that, even though you see Donald Trump like eroding that and ignoring that stuff. That's true. Now, immigration does not eliminate your constitutional rights. Undocumented people still have the rights as people who are documented against unlawful search and seizure, to right to remain silent, like I said in the previous part of this video. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, that your humanity and your rights do not count because you don't have papers. All right. Now, be aware of attempts to surveil, track, or detain you without due process. The government may rely on intimidation, overreach, and especially in communities of color and immigrant communities. If you feel targeted, there are lawyers at the ACLU, there's other organizations that you can contact that will give you information and resources and may even be able to help you legally. The courts are still working. If you follow my account, my name is JJ Legal. What I do on social media is I help demystify and help people, members of the public, understand the court cases and the lawsuits against Donald Trump and the Trump administration, and decode it for them so they can understand and to follow. And I try to speak in layman's terms, in simple terms that you can understand. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, I'm going to invite you to follow my account. I'm JJ Legal everywhere: Blue Sky, Threads, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and share it with other people who are interested in this. So judges across the country pushing back. And so that's what I do. And you'll see from my account, if you follow, bodies of case law and playlist that shows you. Use secure information communication. WhatsApp's decent, but Signal, there's other encrypted emails, which makes it hard for the government, in case they were to get your phone, to crack it and to leak at it. These tools help protect your privacy, reduce the chance of surveillance. Use strong passwords, two-factor authentication, and then also check in regularly with groups like ACLU and all those organizations that are looking out for you. Support them if you can. Donate to their cause. Sign up for their trackers so you can know and be aware and be connected to reputable sources like my own and other people who are not just sharing doom and gloom, but actually sharing with you actionable resources. Okay, so that's the first one. I have 3 more guides to go through. Okay, digital privacy, phone devices, and social media. Let me do that next. You should know you are not required to unlock your phone for law enforcement. Let me repeat that. You're not required to unlock your phone for law enforcement unless they have a warrant from a judge with your name and instructions that they have the right to do that. And that usually is based on after they've already gotten some information on you and they went to the judge and says they have probable cause that there's some crime or there's something on that phone they need access to. Without that, they can't get into your phone. You have the rights. Now, there are situations when they can. Now, that's usually international airports. That's at the borders, like at the South Canadian border, and then also within 100 miles of a U.S. border. So that includes like properties outside, like in Panama or military bases. And if you're coming or close to them and you're passing by a checkpoint, they can actually get your phone. Now, depending on your status, whether you're a United States citizen, whether you're a green card holder, or whether you're like a temporary visa holder, a visitor, or student visa, you have different levels of rights. Now, as for the United States citizens, they cannot force you to unlock your phone. However, if they can, if it's unlocked already, or you have, that's why sometimes they say don't do biometrics or fingerprint, because they can use your face or your fingers to unlock it. And once they unlock it, they can look at your text messages, they can look at your phone, your photos, they can also look at your web searches. And already we know that based on that information, people have gotten like either deported or they're in jail right now based on that. So that's why the advice is when you're traveling, and I've said this before, use another phone. You should log out of all of your everything, log out of all your stuff, because if you're logged out, you're fine. I have an iPhone. What iPhone allows you to do is actually offload, and to offload it, the only way it can come back on is with the password and put back down. So offload all your apps, anything with your personal information, just log out of it. Any sensitive conversation or group chat, shut them down. Delete the thing if you can. Even if it's a private post, they can access it to it. So you should also think carefully when you post stuff, because if they can access your text message and you said something, even if you're joking, that could be seen as threatening or seen as a reason to kick you out. Now, United States citizens, they cannot deny them re-entry to the United States. However, if you say you're not going to unlock your phone, they may just hold you up longer. And if you're a green card holder, they can possibly deny your re-entry for not unlocking your phone and giving them access. And if you're a visa holder, like student visa, visitor visa, they can just deny you access for not cooperating. So you don't have to cooperate, but if you don't cooperate, it'll take a longer time to access and to get through. So that's what you should know when you're traveling. Now, you should also know that you should back up anything that's sensitive into encryption files. So the reason why I say that, because if they do, they can seize your phone. I lost the video for this portion, but the only 4 things you need to know about this chart that's most important is 1, the government can actually seize your phone. If you refuse to unlock it at all, they have the rights to seize it. So that's why 2, you need to give someone access ability to remotely delete it or wipe your phone clean. For example, my son and I are on Find My iPhone, so he has the option to get into Find My iPhone and wipe my phone clean so they wouldn't be able to access anything. So that's the good thing. The second thing you need to know, not just because they can seize it, also this is importance of not having your biometrics, not having your fingerprint or your face unlock the phone, because there's nothing stopping them from using your face they unlock the phone and now they can access it. So if you make sure while you're traveling that you disable the biometrics and remove biometrics while you're traveling, that means that safe and your phone is locked. So if they were to seize it, because they're lawfully to seize it, and you did a good job of avoiding biometrics so they can't get in, and they take it, and you can have your remote person remotely wipe it clean so they get nothing. So there you go. And the last thing is just that you need to log out of everything if you can, send everything to the cloud right after you while you're traveling, just to make sure, because things can be used against you, and it has been used against people. There's social media posts. One person had photos of her at a funeral of someone who the administration determined was a Hamas leader when they were not actually. They were just a Palestinian leader, and they've had people social media posts and comments be the basis of denying entry or detaining them or arresting them or trying to deport them. So be careful. Oh, there he is. That's it. That's what I have for you. There are 14 guides, including the 2 cards. There's one for travel, so when you're traveling, you can kind of know your rights, and then there's one for just immigration, just checklist. It's only written in Spanish, but you can always flip it on the other side and write it in other languages, depending on what type of community. If you're living in a community with like Haitian, Creole speakers, whatever, you can write it down and give it to people as you see them approach, or just give it to them if you want, so you can make it a use. Now, I prefer you not. Did you give other people the link so they can get it for themselves? So again, because I'm trying to track, but it's a resource guide. It's for everyone to use. And yeah, so that's what I figure. Like, we need that. More people know their rights, and more people know the truth, what can and can't be done, the more empowered you feel. I feel like we're at the head of this lawless regime, and we are together. We're empowered. The more we're empowered, the more we fight back, the more we don't resist or succumb and just yield to the tyranny, yield to the fear, yield to the anxiety and stress, and just give up. They win when we give up. So when there's an active resistance of people who are aware, who are sharing resources, who know their rights, who push back, it makes it hard for them to actually govern and rule us. There are more of us than them. I always say only 22% of the United States population voted for Donald Trump. If you believe 77 million is less than the 90 million that sat out. Donald Trump won by a margin of less than 200,000 in each swing state. In each swing state, there was 1 million people sat out. So just 10% of those 1 million people chose to vote. He wouldn't win. And we see from his unpopularity, he doesn't know what he's doing. He could have cut in and coasted on Biden's economy. Instead, he decided to do his tariffs because he thinks he's smart. He's tanking the economy. He's not doing anything about food prices. He's just picking fights with everybody, trying to retribute past wrongs for people who try to make him held accountable for his past lawless activities and crimes, and yielding a culture war against people that represent the most marginalized or smallest sectors of the United States population. Trans, less than 1%. Undocumented people represent 3.5% of the population. The federal civilian workers are 2% of the United States population. The DI, people working DI, are less than 1% of the population. So he's targeting and attacking institutions, science, the environment, higher education, anything that represents what the left or liberals value in this culture war. And it's all of that is not going to make anybody be able to afford their rent, be able to afford their child care, be able to afford, the food prices, to be able to live, to be able to afford gas, to be able to advance your life. You can punish all those people and your life's still going to suck. That's the end of the day. It's still going to suck, and you're going to be sitting there like, really, you really gave this guy the king of the keys to the kingdom to do this. So there's a lot of FAFO coming on. I'm hoping today the articles of impeachment has been drafted up against them, the second set. I'm hoping that I'm going to look for someone who may be tracking all the impeachable offenses. He's had so many of them. So many. This administration is so corrupt. There's I think at the end of this, there's going to be a lengthy truth and reconciliation set of series and hearings and commissions that's going to get to the bottom of every single thing they did. And when we find out what we need to do as a society, as a culture, what we have to do as a society and culture, when we find out every single lawless piece of thing they've done, when all of the whistleblowers, when all of everything comes out in the wash, is set up our system when we have a democratic regime so that we cannot have this anyway. So we lockstep it. We need to put in safeguards so every single thing that Donald Trump's been able to do cannot be done by another. I don't think there's going to be another figure like Donald Trump ever. I don't think it could be, because he's a cult-like figure. He's 78 years old. Say, of all the people who are doing his bidding, as if what's his face, as if all 6 or 7 attorneys didn't lose their law license, as if Rudy Giuliani didn't lose his house, as if Michael Cohen didn't go to jail for him, as if Roger Stone didn't get a jail sentence for him, as if all the people who, what's his name, Mark Meadows right now isn't facing conviction in jail in Georgia for him. Like, all the people who are doing his bidding, the goons, it's like, do y'all plan to go in the grave when he ultimately ends up kicking the bucket because he's 70 years old, So if you're not going to plan and you plan a long career, I don't know what you're doing and why you're signing off on this. What gives? Anyway. That's not my problem. So when you see them on the other side in the Truth and Reconciliation Committee and looking sad and looking sullen and begging for forgiveness and saying they only did that they were told, do not feel sorry for them. They know very well the pain that they're causing on people, the despair that they're causing, the families that they're disrupting, the livelihoods, the careers they're destroying, the way they're putting us back, the way that they're resetting us and retreating us back in past related to a climate interdependence regarding research and scientific data, all the stuff that they're doing by trying to dismantle those agencies, cut down funding, everything they're trying to do to destroy the United States government and its standing and allies and destroy the economy and alienate us from the rest of the world. All of that damage, do not feel sorry for them because they knew very well what they're doing actively as they're doing it, and they see the alarm bells. There's like, it's that meme of the guy, I'm going to show it here, who's sitting in the middle of the flame and they're just smiling. That is Donald Trump and his goons. Like, they don't realize everything is falling down and crippling around them. The world's on fire and they're just sitting there smiling. So if they're sitting there smiling, let them sit there smiling when we have our Truth and Reconciliation Commission and we're reining them back in and they're getting their punishment. Do not feel sorry for the little baby face kids who were part of Doge, who were like dismantling and disrupting things and plugging things in and breaking shit and stealing data and trying to get Elon more money and stuff like that, just doing all sorts of corrupt, lawless bullshit. Don't feel sorry for them because they had to know that was corrupt, lawless bullshit. They're not babies. They're a minimum of 18-year-olds. Even though they're like an 18-year-old, at 18 you still know them. I have an 18-year-old. She would know that shit is wrong. So don't feel sorry for them when it comes out. And there's another side to this. To the doomsayers, to the defeatists, to the fatalists who like, this is it, whatever. Step aside. We'll handle this. When we get on the other side and we take care of them, you could say thank you, but don't get in our way with your defeatist asses. Anyway, that's all I have. I hope that's helpful for you. Share this video. I'm gonna chop this up into little pieces and make it more bite-sized, chunkable, and shareable. But yeah, so I don't know if anyone else has done this outside on the web. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I'm not your lawyer, so sometimes, you know, people say, well, my lawyer is. It's like, you know, not your lawyer. I'm just giving you some information. Someone who has a couple law degrees, practiced regulatory law, was a journalist before, and, you know, written the Supreme Court brief, argued before the 10th and 5th Circuit, argued before judges. So, you know, have a little experience and background in this sort of stuff, and written legislation. So I'm aware, and that's great because there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of half information, a lot of non-information being circulated by people who don't know what the hell they're talking about, but just because they have a platform and they're just talking, and we don't need hysteria like the April 20 martial law nonsense. Like, if it's not verifiable, stop. There's so much misinformation being circulated by people who are credible, who have large platforms. So stop doing that. Listen to people who know what they're talking about. I am one. There's ACLU. There's lots of folks, so many folks online. I am going to do a video in the future about the folks that I follow and who I'm keeping up with. All right. Good. Share.